Welcome, everybody. This is going to be a really great webinar, especially since the person that's going to be our main speaker today is very enthusiastic about what it is that she's going to be sharing with many of you. So we have Michelle Crick, and I don't need to even, she's going to introduce herself, but what I want to be able to do is to remind you as you're jumping on to please mute yourselves. This is being recorded. We'll be able to have this available to you after the fact. And just also a reminder that we're going to leave opportunity for questions. Michelle's going to cover quite a bit. And so if you have moments that you would like us to take a question or two, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'll be monitoring that throughout this webinar. And without further ado, I'm going to have Michelle just start and introduce yourself and take us through what we're going to be talking about today.
Hi, everybody. I am so thrilled to be here and so excited to be talking about the holiday season. It's going to be so different than past years, but some of the strategies you want to keep focused on are not going to change. So we're going to talk a lot about what that looks like, but let me talk a little bit about who I am. So my name is Michelle Crick. I am a personal stylist. That's one of my main gigs. And then my other gig is a retail consultant. So from a styling perspective, I am at Michelle Crick Style. That's where you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and my website. And I basically work directly with clients and helping them define their personal style. What happened with that was my background is 30 years plus. I hate saying the plus now, but 30 years in the business of retail. And I've mainly been in corporate my whole life. So I've been in buying offices. So I started my career at Nordstrom. I was there for 11 years on the sales floor, in management, and then in buying. Probably many of you have heard of Marshall Fields still, if you can remember, and Dayton's. I started when it was Dayton's back then. Worked there for 10 years and then 2 years at Macy's when they bought out Marshall Fields. Then went to San Francisco and worked in the Sears buying office when they moved everything out to San Francisco, very startup concept. And then I was recruited here to Grand Rapids to work at Meijer. And so I am the one that was brought here to change the Meijer apparel division in women's. So about 7-8 years ago, they said they wanted to elevate the women's area and make it more trend right and relevant. And that's where I was brought here to do. And so the Meijer you see today is what that fruit of all the work was. I was there for about 5 years and I've started my business for 3. Probably my biggest accomplishment at Meijer was not only just moving the clothing to a level that people really were interested in purchasing, much more trend relevant, but also mixing small through 3X together on one rack. And that was pretty substantial in the market. We were in the Wall Street Journal for it. It was something that was definitely new and fresh. The reason I bring that up is because my philosophies is all about customer service. So when we talk about even where you're looking at your business and trying to understand how to drive and grow your business, you always have to have the customer in mind. If your customer is not forefront and everything you do is about aligning to that customer, then it won't feel authentic. And my results have all come from knowing that everything I make decisions on, whether it was a really hard road to get something accomplished through a corporate organization, or the work was so hard that it just made me many hours of work, it didn't matter to me. The customer was always what I focused on. And so it's important that we go into this knowing that the conversations we're going to have today really have to think about how are you doing the analysis for your business to know how the customer is important. So I started this business about 3 years ago, the styling, and then I ended up moving into retail consulting because I started working with these boutiques and realized that there really wasn't any training out there for people that were really good at fashion, really good at being entrepreneurs, but didn't have the facts and information to be able to move their business to another level from a financial standpoint and a true retail standpoint. And it's the concept of you don't know what you don't know. And I think for me, that was the exciting part, was I was able to now start teaching people how to really buy to a level that's going to allow them to be profitable, because it's not an easy business and it's challenging. So that is my background. And I'm going to go into a little bit of industry trends right now so we can keep things moving because I have so much to cover. So there is a lot of data out there about what's happening in the marketplace, but one of the focuses is they're expecting consumer spending to go up 1 to 1.5% from November through January. I also want you to think about the holiday season not being November and December. You have to think about the holiday season being November through January, because January is when you take your markdowns. And if you're just looking at November, December, of course, those sales are going to be good. The profits are going to be good, but you've got to add the life cycle of the product. So you want to add January when you're doing an analysis on your holiday season. And the industry does that. So 1 to 1.5% increase. I think that's very interesting. We're seeing the biggest jump is going to be online sales. It's expected to jump 35% to last year, and it will be delivering an all-time high for online sales. So consumer spending is really shifting. They're shifting from restaurants and events and things to do to online shopping. And there's little sign of that diminishing, that online shopping trend happening. Even though things have opened up, the online shopping continues to be very important. So the question is, when you think about the trends of what's happening, what if you don't have online sales? My question to you is, how will you lure customers to your store if you have just a brick and mortar and you don't have online sales? So think about a couple things on that concept. Do you have private shopping times? You can even do that if you have an online shopping concept. You can do private shopping times and do one-on-one. You can do curbside pickup. That can be even if you do online and you want someone to just come pick it up. Or if people are afraid to go in the stores, it's a great option. Will you deliver? That's such an interesting concept. Is that something that's doable? I don't know. That's for you to decide in your business, but it's something to think about. And then how do you get people in your store for brick and mortar? How have you differentiated what's happening in online to what's in your store? Do you have exclusive product? Do you have some events? Do you have special promos that are just available if you walk in the brick and mortar store? So lots of things to think about. Every one of you is going to have a different answer that works for you. But if you are not taking a strategic moment to step back and think about how you're going to focus on moving the needle this year differently than you did last year, you will miss out on opportunity. So the good news is, I love this that's happening too, from an industry standpoint, is we're talking more and more about shopping local. You're seeing a lot of that. You're seeing a lot on Facebook, Instagram, you're seeing it everywhere. And so what I would ask all of you is, what have you done to maximize that? Do you have, if you're a brick and mortar store, or even if you don't have an online store, what can you do? Well, one of the things you can do is think about how to attack Facebook groups. And attack meaning get involved. They have Marketing Mondays. They have all these things that you can get out there. Your job is to solve a problem. And that's how you want to be able to look at your business. You are trying to solve someone's problem. The more you can solve a problem, the more they're going to come to you and trust you, and they're going to keep coming back more and more. So you have to look at it, and this goes back to focus on the customer, understand what they need, solve one of their problems, and you're going to win because they're going to be happy and you're going to be happy. The Facebook groups are one of the biggest trends happening right now, too, from an industry standpoint. It's becoming more kind of a private concept. So you might want to even consider that you do a special Facebook group that only special members come into. There's special deals in your Facebook groups. There's special product that you offer them, lots of different ways, but you'll want to make sure that it feels authentic, that you're adding content and information, but then also figuring out how to move your needle in selling. Okay, so I have another little interesting fact from the industry perspective that I want to share. Free shipping actually outperforms other promotions. It has the highest click-through rate of any other promotions. So if you do a % off of 20 or a 30 or a buy one, get one 50 off or whatever you do, the click-through rate is actually highest when you offer free shipping. And it's an interesting fact. If you really think about it, if they're selling, sorry, I get so excited. If you're spending $100 and you get 20% off, you've saved $20. Well, if you offer shipping and it's $5.99 or something simple like that, you're actually benefiting by offering that than you are the 20 off. And your customer actually is clicking through more by getting the free shipping. I don't know if everybody knew that or not, but that's something that I've done some research on. And it's really interesting because it's kind of not intuitively something that you would think. Now, when you build promotions, you want to build balance. So you're not going to do every free shipping all the time because now it's going to be expected if that's not what you normally do. Or maybe that's something you do all the time and you really work on promoting that and it's one of your key offers. Or maybe it's free shipping for members and things like that. You think about how do you create an impact that matters to your customer and that moves your needle financially. We're also seeing much more of a casual environment, and I want to make sure that all of you have thought through about really reacting to some of those trends that are happening right now from a global perspective. All these categories, but people aren't wearing the same things. They're not doing the same things. How are you from a store reacting to that, and how are you marketing to that so that they really understand that you get their lifestyle? Because just putting product out there is not how you sell product. You have to understand your customer's lifestyle. You want to understand what their focus is, and then you're offering value to them. And that's how you really end up winning and building a great customer base that will come back. You always want to have current customers come back to you versus always trying to get new customers. Because it's more expensive to try to get a new customer than it actually is to convert a current customer into more sales. So keep that in mind as you're building your focus of where you're going with your business and how important the customer service piece is, because they come back for more. That is a big impact for you. Okay. Any questions on any of the overall industry concepts I'm seeing? You can put it in the chat box if you have any questions. And if you don't, I'm going to keep going. We can always go back to it. Jennifer's watching that, so we'll come back if you think of any more questions, absolutely ask. So I wanted to do 3 philosophies that I believe in from a merchant standpoint, and some of these are going to sound simple. Some of these are going to sound odd. It's just 3 philosophies that I've always focused my career on and has always helped me win in my business. Number 1 is plan to win. So you cannot go into season unprepared, no matter what season it is. And what I see a lot of people do is they wing it. They're not sure. They don't have a good strategy. They don't have a good plan. And then they end up at the end going, it didn't work, or what didn't work? Well, did you really plan to win? So the 5 steps I'm going to give you in a couple minutes are the steps to ensure you have a strong holiday season. And you can use these philosophies in other times too, but you have to plan to win. Number 2, make big bigger. So what happens when you go in a store and everything's over assorted? Do you even know where to look? Do you know what to believe in? Do you understand what the store actually wants to stand for? Most times, no. And it can be very frustrating. So what you want to do is you want to believe in items or concepts or trends or strategies that you believe the customer wants. And I keep going back to the customer because she's the number one, or he. So my concept for this is edit for growth. So you don't need to be everything for everybody, because if you are, then you become oversorted and you become nothing to nobody. Edit for growth is always better than being everything to everybody. Number 3, love your on order, not your inventory. So I think what happens is you buy product. It's very emotional to be buying product. You're buying things you believe in. You're buying things you think your customer is going to love. But what happens is what if that doesn't sell? Well, you believed in it so much, it's hard to let it go. It's hard to believe, why doesn't anybody want this? And I'm sure if I could see all your faces, I would see some head nods, yes. Because it's a really hard thing to mentally get around that you bought this, why doesn't someone else want it? The fact is you have to love your on order more than the inventory you've already bought. So your on order is what is going to drive your sales. If your inventory is not driving sales, you need to make choices. You need to get rid of it. You need to move off of it. Don't get caught up in loving it. Love what's on order and learn from what's not selling to adjust your on order so that you even love your on order more because you know it's going to drive incremental sales and your customer is going to be happy. So those are 3 little fun philosophies that I have for all of you. Keep in mind as we go through these 5 steps, those components. Any questions yet? Okay, now we're getting into meat. Okay, so here I'm going to give you the 5 steps to ensure a strong holiday season to start off with, and then we'll go back in and talk about them. So number 1, and I'll give you a second to write them down, your daily sales and promo strategy / event strategy. Number 2 is analysis. No surprises. Number 3 is in-season management. Oh, wait, I messed that up. That's in the other one. Sorry. No, you can do that one. In-season management. That is 3. Number 4 is build clearance strategies. And number 5 is review regular price January sales. Okay, so we have 5 key components that we're gonna jump into and dive in. Okay, so we're gonna talk about number 1. I see this a lot when I work with clients. They do not have a daily sales sheet. And some of you might not. I don't care if you're wholesale, I don't care if you're retail, you need to know your daily sales sheet. So I want you to all create a last year's daily sales sheet. And what this means is you take all your sales by day for last year and you want to run it for November, December, and January. And like I said, the holiday season is those 3 months. Some of you may or may not have a last year. That's okay. But if you do, you have your daily sales here by day. Then you key in your promo strategies that you did last year. So in other words, if you did a 20% off event one day, if you did a event and it was in store, if you did a special purchase exclusive product for 3 days, if it was Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it doesn't matter what it is. You should also put in when you first went to clearance last year and what % off you did. We'll get to that in a little bit. So you've now built your roadmap that you are going to use to build this year. So now your next step is to build this year's roadmap. And you may say, well, I don't want to do sales by day. It's a lot, all that stuff. You're going to choose what you want to do and what you want to do with this information. But the most important thing you're doing is understanding what happened last year and be able to combat what's going to happen this year. So a lot of times I see someone says, oh my God, I had such a bad day yesterday. I wonder why. And I want to say, well, did you have your information from last year to know in advance that you were going to go up against a big day? It's probably one of the biggest mistakes I see businesses make is they don't understand where their business was last year to be able to build the plan to go up against it this year. Biggest challenge I see. So when you lose those sales on a big day, you'll never get them back. You can't get them back. Now you can try to scramble and plan and try to do something big again, but it's so much better to plan it up front and know that your strategy is in place and you're going to be able to buy to that too. So you build if you don't want to build your sales by day, I would suggest doing it, by the way, but otherwise you can build it by week. So you know what your big weeks are and what you're doing and what you're going up against. But what I would suggest you do by day is your promo strategies by day. So in other words, you've got your Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday. Those are obvious. You've got the week before Christmas. What are you going to do to drive your business? But what about a free shipping day like we talked about? If you're not doing free shipping all the time, do you have some free shipping days? What about a buy one, get one 50 off blowout promo? What about something you bought that you really believe in that's going to be a major gift for everybody? and everybody should have one, and you do a special just for that day for that one item, and it's just a driver. What about your events that you want to have? It really doesn't matter to me what it is. It's really your business, but it's just building a roadmap so that you're clear on where your sales are going to come from. It could be trunk shows, shopping parties, everything. But then you take it to another step. So you've built your daily sales from last year and your promos from last year. You've built your and when I say promos, I mean events. I mean anything that drove your business. And then you build this year, and you've built all that. Now you put a plan behind it. So let's say that you believe that you wanted to do a Black Friday promo. Well, is it going to be % off everything, or are you actually going to stand behind something you believe in? Is Cyber Monday about free shipping, but also something else? Maybe you get a free pair of socks and you bought these socks and they were just fun. I'm totally making that up. It's 100% what you guys decide what to do. But you have to think out of the box that what is going to drive people to you? What are you going to do to offer the customer something that they're going to love? And what is it going to do to make sure you do not drop your business from last year, and how you build incremental business? Now, I want to point out one thing about this category. You don't want to over promote, because if you over promote, you go down a rabbit hole and you become a promotion business, and it's really hard to get away from that and really hard to keep up with it. And your profit starts going down the drain. So it's more concept. The concept is more about being strategic and planning for the season, and not being surprised if you're going against a big day and you didn't have something to combat that business. Okay, that is step one. Any questions on step one? This must be easy because nobody has any questions. Or everyone's just writing.
I think everybody's just writing down and taking it all in, Michelle, which is great. And again, please utilize the chat if you do have specific questions for Michelle, because I'm sure we'll provide time at the end for specifics. But go ahead and go through it, because I think people are intently engaged in what you're sharing.
Okay, so let's go to number 2. Analysis. No surprises. So this is one of the most important things you can do, besides knowing your day business and your promos that you're going up against, is really focused in on your analysis. And this is another thing that I see the biggest fail in a business going against last year, is not understanding your numbers of what you sold last year. So you want to run your numbers for last year, meaning what drove your business. And here's what I mean by that. You're going to run your sales and margins by item, and you're going to sort by your best items from last year and understand what drove my business. Did I have a key item that drove a lot? Did I keep doing a reorder on a business, and that item just kept driving the whole season? And then you'd look at your on order and say, well, I sold 1,000 units. I'm making numbers up. I sold 1,000 units of that this year, and I only have on order 500. And I know this is going to be just as big this year or bigger than last year. You've already set yourself up for failure if you don't even know what you sold last year. So it's a 101 concept, meaning basics, but it's something that I see a lot of people not embrace and not understand, and it really can make a difference in your sales. The other thing you want to do is run your sales and margins by category. So I'll use apparel because it's easy. Pants, tops. And with tops, it's knits, it's wovens, it's all those categories, it's accessories, everything. Just however your business is structured, you want to run it by category. But you want to run your margin by category on all of this too. Because if you drove a business that didn't make you any money, you do not want to go up against it next year. You don't want to mirror that process. It probably means it wasn't selling, or you had to promote it to get through it, and that's not profitable to move forward with. You're going to find something else this year based on your learnings that you're going to do to drive, that's going to be big, that you're going to be able to make profit on. So that's why you run your profit too. And you can sort it at one point by sales in your categories, but then sort it by profit too. And if your profit tells you that tops is your best profit business, and you look at your on order and you have maybe 20% in tops coming in, but your sweaters you did okay last year, but you have bigger percent of sweaters coming in, maybe you need to course correct on that. Or maybe that's how you make sure that you're set to confirm that you have the right business that's going to grow your business. Then you want to run it by brand. And this is really interesting. I love doing this with my clients because when we run it by brand, there's always a surprise. So there's two ways to look at it by brand. Number one, you're going to look at your business by brand in units. So you're going to think units out the door. Oh my God, I'm selling so much of this. This is amazing. It's totally working. And then you look by dollar. So what happens is merchants get caught up in, I'm selling a ton of it by unit, but it might be a low price point. So your dollar that you're driving by that brand is lower than you think. What happens is you have something with a higher price point and you've sold so much less of it, but it doesn't come on your radar as fast because you just, you don't sell as many. That brand might be doing more volume than this other brand that you're selling more units of. It's a really important concept to think about because it can really offer a lot of value for you to be able to know where to go after. Now, you want to have units going out your door, so that's a good thing. But are you balancing making sure that you have enough of the higher brand that has the higher price point? Maybe you're missing some business on that because you thought, well, I can't invest in that because it's too expensive. Well, how can you not invest in something that's working that your customer loves? Again, I always bring it back to the customer. It's always about what they're asking for. The data allows you to understand what they're asking for. And to be honest, this works in any business. It really is just understanding what your customer is wanting and how do you move forward to give them more of what they want. You can't give them too much, though. If you give them too much of what they want, it becomes over-sorted in that category or too much of something. And the only way you're going to move those goods is to mark it down. So there's a fine line that you're going to balance when you look at all your numbers. You're also going to look at what drove your business for Black Friday weekend. And I want you to look by day because it's very interesting to see that there'll be different things that work each day. And as you're planning to win, you're going to want to look at that by day and see what worked and how are you going to build it for this year. And keep in mind all the components of the industry trends that are happening because there is a lot going on different than what happened last year. So you might not see it all the same as this year. You also want to look at what drove your business the week before Christmas. So key in on just that time zone. That is your money-making week of all of it. So Black Friday weekend is your sales driving week for traffic, but not profit. The week before Christmas is your profit driving week. That's how you want to look at it. That week is the week that people are looking for gifts. They're picking up whatever they can find. If you're out of everything that you know is great, then you're going to end up definitely not making your week of Christmas sales. And it makes or breaks your season. That week is so big that it makes or break your season. And I'm also hearing from the industry trend that the patterns of shopping are not changing to this year to last year. Now, that doesn't mean I don't know what's going to happen, but the industry is talking about that there isn't really going to be a change in the pattern of shopping. So in other words, we all wait till the last minute. Well, that probably will happen again this year. Now you're going to review your on order for November and December. So you've run your numbers, you saw what drove your business last year, you understand why, you take a minute to analyze that. Now you're going to review your on order. So all of you should have an on order receipt log. Hopefully all of you do. If you don't, you should have one. So do you have your LY big ideas covered, either in the same item or category, or something that you're going to change, but it's going to be a mirror effect? So let's say last year, I'm going to make this up, you guys. iPhone covers were the hottest thing in the world. So iPhone covers drove a lot of your business. But this year, it is an iPhone accessory. And so you know that you did this much business in your iPhone covers, and you have to cover that volume, and it was a big chunk. You might choose that the accessories is what you're going to mirror that for. So you know how much business you have to do in that category, and your question to yourself is, can you? Can you do that much business in that category? Can you drive it, or do you have to break it out in two categories? But when you have something big that drove your business, you're going to want to figure out a game plan, or else you're going to end up losing sales. So covering categories and covering big items. Those are really what you're looking to do. And the ancillary product, you want to make sure, was it worth it? And what is your game plan for the other components in your business that you're going up against last year? The other thing I think is really important about your on order is review your flow of goods. What I mean by that is it all landing all at once? So are you landing it all the first week of November and that's it? So you have no newness, no excitement through the season. How are you going to build marketing? How are you going to get the customer back in your store? Those are things you want to really think about. So flow of goods is one of the biggest wins in a retail business to drive incremental sales. Newness sells. That's the best way I can say it. And I've seen it over and over again for 30 years. The more newness you can drive, the better it is. Now, you have to start your season making sure you have enough inventory, and you have to make sure you have enough time to sell the goods before you have to mark it down. So the life cycle of the product is really important, or what you're bringing in. So in other words, if you have a sweater and it's the ugly Christmas sweater concept and you bring it in the week before Christmas, that might not be the best choice, because you're not going to sell through those goods with that week. But let's say you're really selling these hats and they're winter hats and they're going to sell all the way through the season. You want to bring some at the beginning, maybe bring some in before Black Friday. Maybe you want to bring some in 2 weeks before Christmas. And each time you bring it in, there's newness. And that newness, then you market. And you talk about how important this item is to your customer, and your customer is so excited about it, and that's how you market the goods. But you're using your flow of goods to help you build a marketing strategy also. The week before Christmas, like I said, is really important. What you don't want to do is you don't want to run out of anything good before Christmas. So we're going to get into that in a second. 2 more things I want to just throw out there in this category about your analysis. And how to make sure you're reviewing your on order for the season. You should be able to say to me right now, what are your 3 biggest ideas or trends you believe in? And my question to you is, have you bought them, that you believe in them, and does your customer know that you believe in them? It's a tricky answer, and it's not simple, but it's important that you believe in something so your customer knows what you believe in. So they know that's a trust factor for them to be able to trust you, to know that you've done the industry research, you've done the buying out there, you've looked at all the choices, and here's what you're offering your customer, and this is why you believe in it so much. So you should have kind of 3 big ideas. It could be different categories. It's up to you what that looks like. You should be able to define those 3 big ideas that you want to go after. And then the other thing you want to make sure is that you do not get to a point where you don't have enough inventory to drive your sales. So that's why it's really important to do this analysis, but you also don't want to over inventory. So if you tell me your sales were X and your inventory is X and your on order is so much more than your sales, but you already have a ton of inventory, I'm going to tell you you're going to be over inventoried, and you're going to end up with goods that are sitting in clearance at the end of the season, or they're going to be carried over and you're not going to have the ability to buy freshness and newness. That's why the flow of goods is so important. Okay, I'm giving a lot. There's a lot here right now. I mean, there's a lot of content here, you guys, and I'm going pretty fast. Any quick questions that you want to share? We'll take a little mini break.
Well, there is a question here from Brandy. I don't know if you can see that as well, but if you are a brand new business launching in the 4th quarter, how long do you wait to do a price change or markdown on those items?
So it's a great question, and we're going to talk about in-season management right now, and then we're going to get into clearance, build a clearance strategy, and that clearance strategy will answer that question, I believe. Yeah. It's a really, really important question, which is why I have it in here.
Okay, so there's another question as well, wondering what the average lead time should be for preparing the strategy and marketing of seasonal services or products.
Can someone elaborate seasonal services or products? Does that mean like Christmas ornaments, or does it mean
for holidays?
I probably need a little more clarity on that question. So I'm going to answer it as I think you're asking, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
So if you have true holiday goods that need to come in, you want to make sure you get them in before Black Friday for sure. And you should start rolling that in now if it's truly holiday goods. If it's something that you believe can carry into spring, then that's a good item to flow in through the season. So if you set that too early, it's going to look stale by the time you get past Christmas. So I love using December on order to be able to bring newness in that's going to carry in through January and February even sometimes, because you want to have a life cycle of about 6 to 12 weeks on your floor is a good cycle that you want to have, depending on how fast you turn your goods and how fast your customers come into your store and how much inventory you have that you need to get through. So if that didn't answer your question, definitely put it in there, because there's a lot of ways that question could go. And if I didn't hit on it, I'm happy to answer it.
Well, apparently you answered her question, so thank you.
Oh, good. Yeah, if you think of anything else, just throw it in there. Okay, so in-season management, we're going to talk about this. So a lot of people think they buy their holiday season and they're done. And I have to tell you, the most important thing you can do is react to what's selling and what is not. And it sounds like another 101 basic, but it's not something people do on a daily basis. So or on a daily or weekly or anything basis. So I'm going to give you the tips and tricks on how to do this. Your Mondays have to be sacred for running your business from last week. So you want to look at last week's sales to plan and to LY. You want to review last week's sales items and categories. What sold well? What didn't? What are you going to do about it is the most important question you can ask. So in other words, if you literally have something like a great item that you know is going to sell through the season, but you're already selling it so fast that you don't have enough, you have two choices. You either let that go, or you actually go in there and you buy more right then and get you through the season. And then you analyze, is it something that actually go past Christmas? Is it something that's a holiday item, or is it something that actually is of value to my customer? They love the item. It doesn't matter what season it is, that I might carry it longer. You're going to base that on if it's for the person or gift giving also. So if it's just something that people are giving as a gift, then you know it probably is going to die after that. Or maybe you reinvent it for Valentine's Day or something else. Think about how you build off of something. If you don't reorder that immediately, you probably won't get it either. Because what happens is that if a item is hot, it's usually hot in other places. So you're going to want to get things you believe in earlier, get it in and test it and see how good it is, and really make sure you reorder it. If you believe in it at the beginning when you're buying it and you're afraid they're not going to have any, take a risk and go for it. If it doesn't work, you always have a contingency plan in place of marking it down in season. So it's really important that you know what's selling, what's not, and what you're going to do about it is the most important thing you can do.
Hey, Michelle, real quick before you proceed, there is a question. What is LY that you referred to?
Last year.
Okay, thank you.
Industry lingo. I forget. TY, if I say it, is this year. Okay, so the other thing you want to do is cancel your on order if something's not selling. So Mondays are dedicated to your business. And you are looking to see what you have working, what you don't, what you're doing about it, but also what's on order. So if you tell me that this pom-pom thing is not working, and pom-poms were supposed to be big and they're not, and you have on order of other pom-poms, you need to cancel that immediately, because it's not going to do you any good. It's going to clog up your inventory, which means your customer won't react to it. You'll be sitting on goods. You'll have to clearance it out, and your profits go down. What you want to do is go to that vendor and say, you know what, the pom-poms are not working for me. Are they working for anybody else? That vendor management is really important. You're really building a relationship with your vendor to understand what's happening. If it's not working for you, are you too early? And it will. Or are they not doing great anywhere and you feel strongly about getting rid of your on order? Ask them what else you can get into with them. And some will let you, some won't. You want to always set that relationship up before you go place an order, that if you can do in season moving and grooving is what I call it. Okay, so then you're going to review your rest of your on order for the season. So do you need more? Do you need to edit some? Like sometimes you can take an order from a vendor and you know one thing is selling, just cancel that one thing, everything else comes in. Usually it's not that big of a deal. It just kind of depends on your business and the relationship you've built with your vendors. So utilize Mondays, number one. Number two is going to be re-merchandise your floor every week through the holidays. So I know that sounds like a lot sometimes, and people say, well, does it really help? Newness, newness, newness. So let's say your on order is coming in and you always want to put something up front, great. But what if you don't have an on order that week? You can create newness by re-merchandising your floor. It creates freshness, excitement. And here's the trick that I can't really explain. But the fact is that even if the same people don't come in, for some reason, that item that you put in the front becomes hot. And so it is all about creating that newness and freshness. Also, if you have a slow seller and you're trying to figure out what to do with it, when you're doing your Monday analysis, you know what's not selling. You can see it on your list. So what you want to do is make sure that you are moving those items in a way that's going to get people to either see it, or you're marketing it through your social, or you're promoting it or clearancing it in season. And we'll get to that. We're about to go into clearance piece in a second. But the bottom line is do something with the information, because that's what's going to move your needle, and that's what's going to make your customers happy too. Okay, any questions? I see a couple chats down there, but I can't see what they're saying. Can you tell me, Jennifer?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a question from Brandy. And Brandy, if you just want to mute yourself, feel free to ask Michelle directly. I know you had questions about some marketing groups and so forth.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier on the call that there's specific Facebook groups that we could join to help from a marketing perspective. Are there ones that you would recommend that would help us as we go into the holiday season?
Yeah, there's 3 I follow. GR Boss Babes, Squad Betty, and Women Who are 3 really good ones that have a lot of stuff going on, and they'll do Marketing Mondays, and then you can pop some deals in there. It was really cool yesterday in GR Boss Babes. It was either yesterday or the day before. Someone brought something up that they do podcasts, and they wanted everyone to talk about what local businesses they have so they can figure out how to feature it. So it is getting a ton of traction, all of this
awesome.
Local focus. And when you get in some of these groups, then it kind of starts melding out to see other opportunities that might come up and people supporting local.
Okay, so Women Who? W-H-O?
Yeah, Women Who, GR. I don't know. It's under Women Who.
Okay.
And then GR Boss Babes, and then, which is all FemPro. And then Squad Betty, they do a lot too. So, each one has its own vibe and focus, but it definitely gives opportunity to get your name out there from a local perspective.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Jennifer, anything else in the chat? Did she say no?
No, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I don't see anything else that has been of recent, but we've got about a good 10 minutes or so left. I think that this group that we have here, if you do have specific questions, let's ask them now. Just unmute yourselves, because we do have a smaller, intimate group online. But again, this is all going to be recorded as it is right now, and we'll be posting this for you to go back, because Michelle did give a lot of information, which is really good information. I hope you walk away with this feeling a little more confident in what you're doing and how you're planning to approach the holidays. So, anything else, Michelle, like maybe 3 more points you want them to take away if nobody has any specific questions they want to ask right now?
Yeah, I'm going to go to number 4 and number 5. I'm going to get through these 2 quickly. And the first 3 were the most important. These are important, but these are kind of in a small order. So number 4 is going to be build your clearance strategy. So what that means is, when will you mark your goods down? The answer is not always after Christmas. Your profit is always much higher in season versus after the season. So you want to figure out what percent you'll mark your goods down when you go to clearance, and then how will you market your clearance event. And then one thing that I don't think a lot of people do, which I think is really important, this again is running some analysis, is how much clearance sales did you sell in December last year? How many clearance sales did you sell in January? Will you have the same amount of inventory this year? And it's based on how much you had. Now this gets deeper and it's harder to analyze this, but it's just something if you can get to and understand, because just like I mentioned earlier, your daily sales matter. when you get into January, and if you sold a lot of clearance sales last year, the fact is you could actually be going up against a lot of clearance sales and you have no plan on covering it in clearance sales because your inventory is more in line this year. Then you have to have a plan to cover it in regular price sales. So I'm going to move into number 5 so we can get through everything. Number 5 is review your regular price January sales. So we sometimes forget how important regular price sales are in January. And especially in the middle of December, landing goods there that carry you into January is really important. So you want to look at January in and of itself at regular price sales and say, what really drove your business? So what that means is, what did your customer get excited about? Was it t-shirts? Was it vacation goods? Was it sweaters that were in spring colors? Wear now goods in spring colors is always a good win that you can have in January. Always, always. People are sick of the dark colors. Most of the dark colors are on sale. They're ready for new goods for spring. They got gift cards, but they don't want anything fall. They want it to have pretty colors, spring colors, getting them into the new season. So you're really looking to make sure your January sales are covered. And then what I would say to you is also look at what you think your big idea for January is going to be. What do you want them to believe in? What do you want them to get excited about? Use January as not, I'm only going to sell clearance, but how do you sell regular price? Your profits are so much higher. And if you're the one showing newness and excitement, it's going to differentiate you also. The other thing you want to do is make sure you're prepped for February for Valentine's. Is your business going to be a Valentine's driven month? Do you have product that you want to bring in? Start bringing that in the beginning of January to be able to cover you for your February sales, and you'll make sure that you're ready for the season, and then you can get through those goods before they become more seasonal, because you want to sell through what you've got if you've got anything that's keyed really into that February event. Okay. So I just have a couple other things for you guys to think about from a high level. This conversation was not much about marketing. This was really about how you drive your business from knowing your numbers, knowing your financials, knowing your strategies, and where you want to go with your business. But obviously marketing is really important. There's a lot of marketing that you can do, but there's 1 or 2 things I want to just throw out to you guys as an idea that doesn't always get talked about. And this is from a business standpoint. Everything you do needs to have the customer service mindset. We've already talked about that. So you want to utilize your customer data to drive sales. So if you have a brand that you just received in, are you actually sending an email to those customers that have already bought that brand to say, hey, we just got a new shipment in, would love to see you in the store? Maybe you offer them the free shipping. If that's a perfect spot, if you don't normally offer free shipping, to offer free shipping, or 10% to you because, we know you love this brand, or something like that. If you have miscellaneous sizes left, this happens a lot. You can use your data to see who bought a small. And if you have like 8 smalls left and they're just sitting there and you want to do something with them, take pictures of those 8 smalls, send them to the group and say, hey, we have these 8 smalls left. They're the last one left. We're doing a fun promo on them, 10% off. If you want to grab them, it's yours, but we have 1 left of each. And that's something that is really considered target marketing that a lot of people don't think about doing, but it becomes something that is customer service oriented. It's very relevant to the person. They're not a bunch of spam emails. They're actually things that matter to the customer when they open that email, and there's something very magical with that. And then the last thing is just making sure you're building email campaigns that drive awareness to the products or the promos. So are you creating gift lists? You've got so much product out there that's exciting and you know about it, but do they really know about it? How do you get them to your site to be able to see what you're offering? Even if you take a look at your own site, have you done a good job of marketing when someone comes to your site? Here are the top 10 gift ideas, and they're on your site. Here's my hot item of the week. It's all about stars because that's trending right now. Talk about stars and the items that you have with that. Like, use your website as a tool to educate and customer focus in on, and use your emails to drive that same concept. And really ties into what you're doing with your product, but it's actually servicing and solving problems for your clientele. That's how you want to approach it. And then last is styling. Anything you can do to show the customer how to wear it, how to feature it in their home, how to utilize it in a way that really is exciting for them. It's so magical to help them understand why that's something they may need. So that was a lot. But, it's just so exciting. Holiday season's the best.
Absolutely. And again, I think this is a good time to remind all of you as well that Michelle would have the ability to go a little more in depth with your specific business because you do the consultation as well. Can you share exactly what you do offer, Michelle?
Yeah, I work with clients one-on-one through coaching process. So I work on a lot of different categories, many more than what we just talked about today. So building your sales plan, understanding your inventory flow of your goods, building a business that is profitable at the bottom line, understanding where your expense structure is. There's a couple things that really make or break a business. And so we'll talk about that. And then I do a lot about buying techniques and strategies on how to buy profitably, how to really think through planning to win is basically the best way I can describe it. And I work a lot with clients on merchandising their floor and showing ways and how to really build their business. So I call it something called buy to reality. So, you've got to understand how to buy it to make sure that it comes to reality with your clients. Lots of different categories. I really cater it to what the client needs. I've also done customer service seminars with a group of people. Just selling techniques are really important. It depends on the size of your business. It really doesn't matter. There's a lot of categories, and I basically cater it to what my clients need.
That is fantastic. Mind sharing everybody your email address right now?
Yes. So it is michellecrickstyle@gmail.com is my email. And then my Facebook and Instagram is Michelle Crick Style. And my website is michellecrickstyle.com. I made it easy.
And Crick spelling Krick, correct?
Yes. Thank you for that. That's where people get hung up. But yes, Krick. And I do free consultations. So if anyone wants to just chat, that's absolutely free. And we'll see if it even is a good fit for you and what your financials look like to be able to invest. Because I do believe investing in yourself is really important.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
100%. Well, that is a perfect way to close things off, Michelle.